Hi boys and girls, today we're going to do a fun task together. This is called Decimal Garden. So we're going to build a garden together, and then you can also build one on your own. Okay, so let's get started. So our first step is that we have some Unifix cubes. So let's read our directions. It says use 10 Unifix cubes to make a design for a vegetable garden. For example, use red for tomatoes, yellow for corn, and green for green beans. Record your Unifix cube vegetable garden by coloring the grid below to match the colors of your Unifix cubes. So you can do that on your paper, but we're just going to move our Unifix cubes over. Okay, so let's decide what vegetables that we want. So I really like tomatoes, so let's do some tomatoes. Tomatoes are used in so many things. We can make spaghetti with them. You can even make ketchup with tomatoes. So let's build our garden. So we're going to move some Unifix cubes over and thinking about how many tomatoes we might want. Okay, and so we could also make some salsa. That would be good, wouldn't it? Okay. So then let's build something else in our garden. How about some green peppers? Okay, so we have some green peppers. I don't need quite as many of them. I think I might only use one green pepper. Okay. So I have one green pepper, and then let's see, it's really fall out right now. I think I might want some pumpkins. You want to make some pumpkins in our garden? So I'm thinking I might use this pumpkins for some cooking, and I also might want some to carve. That will be fun. Okay, so I'm going to fill the rest of my garden with pumpkins. Okay, so now after I have filled my garden design, I'm going to go to the next step. Okay, we're going to use the table below to record each vegetable in your garden and its color. So let's look back here. The first one, the color was red, so let's put red in here. And what was our vegetable? That was tomato. Okay, tomato. And let's go ahead and record the next color. The next color was green. And that was a bell pepper. Okay, and then our next color was orange. And our vegetable was a pumpkin. Okay, so now we have to think about what fraction each vegetable is. So let's go back here and count how many vegetables we actually used. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it is in 10 parts. So what fractional part are our tomatoes, the red? So we know it is 4, so 4 out of 10. So our fraction would be 4/10. Okay, now let's think about the fraction for our bell pepper, or green pepper here. We only planted 1. So let's look. we only had 1/10 is a bell pepper planted. What about our pumpkin? We had 5 pumpkins, so 5/10 of our garden is pumpkin. So let's think about how does that relate to decimals. If each of these are tenths, how many are 4 of them? So remember when we counted on a number line? Let's get our pen out. And we counted 1/10. What came next? 2/10, 3/10, 4/10. So we had 4/10 that were the tomatoes. Four-tenths. How does that look? Now I can put a 0 because I have 0 whole numbers and my decimal number. That is also correct if I just say 4/10 here without the 0 as my whole number. So either one is correct. So now, what do you think? Let me erase this real quick. What would be the decimal number for the bell pepper? There's only 1 bell pepper, so it has 1/10. How does that look as a decimal? It only has 1/10. And then what about our pumpkin? We know it has 5/10. So I have 0 whole numbers and 5/10 as a decimal. So when you're looking at these fractions in decimals, how are they alike? I'm noticing that I'm still using that 4-digit here across when I'm looking across here at my fraction for my tomato and my decimal number for my tomato. I'm still using that 4-digit, but the decimal is showing in the tenths place. So both of these numbers are equal, correct? Whether I show it in fraction form or decimal form. So which vegetable did I use the most of? Did I plant the most of? That's right, the pumpkin. So I know that 5/10, let me get my pen out. That 5/10 is greater than the tomatoes, which were 4/10. I also know that the pumpkins were greater than the green bean, not green beans, the bell pepper. They were green, but we planted bell pepper, a green bell pepper. So I know that 5/10 is greater than 1/10. when I look here at my image, I know that there were more pumpkins than tomatoes, and there were more pumpkins that I planted than bell pepper. So next, boys and girls, you can go to the next slide and you can build your own garden. And if you slide it this way, let me erase this real quick. If you slide it this way, you will see lots of colors for your garden, and you can decide what you want planted in your garden. There are lots of fun things to plant. You can even talk to your family and think about what vegetables you use in your own home. And then on the next slide, you can record your vegetable garden and determine the fractional and decimal number for your garden. Great job today, boys and girls. Have fun building your decimal garden.